It's time for today's Face-Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quanell X and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Of acting. We get to open people's minds to new ideas, take them beyond what they understand of the world, and help them laugh when things are tough. Like now. Make no mistake, empathy is not weak or woke. And by the way, woke just means you give a damn about other people. Back to empathy. A whole lot of people are going to be really hurt by what is happening, what is coming our way. And even if they're of a different political persuasion, we need to call upon our empathy and not judge, but listen from our hearts and welcome them into our tent, because we are going to need a big tent to resist successfully what's coming at us. Have any of you ever watched a documentary of one of the great social movements, like apartheid or our civil rights movement or Stonewall, and asked yourself, would you have been brave enough to walk the bridge? Would you have been able to take the hoses and the batons and the dogs? We don't have to wonder anymore, because we are in our documentary moment.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was Jane Fonda's speech that's getting a tremendous amount of media and social media attention. She got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Screen Actors Guild, kind of this self-congratulatory circle jerk of the Hollywood award season, where she was up there on stage telling everyone in the audience how important it was for them to build a bigger, more inclusive tent, which I like that message, Quanell. I like the message of people, hey, we don't need to shove people that we disagree with politically, but then she goes too far. And what you see a lot in America now and across the world is this effort to draw this false equivalency between what the alleged oppression of the day and the very real, very horrifying oppression of yesteryear. And it rings a bit hollow for me, for someone listening to it from Jane Fonda, the daughter of an incredibly famous movie star who came to her own fame at the height of the incestuousness of Hollywood, where everybody was related to everybody. She has a history, married it for a while to the world's richest man, Ted Turner. She has lived her life with bodyguards, behind walls, in mansions, right? While she's sitting up there lecturing us on how we need to be worried about the oppression that is probably coming, Quanell. They're going to go too crazy with this deportation stuff. They're going to ramp back up the war on drugs, not just on fentanyl, but on stuff like weed. I am sure the pendulum's going to swing way too far one way. But she's saying all this, and she's talking to Democrats who have been telling us to not worry about us for the last 2 decades, to not worry about crime, to not worry about our own welfare, our own economic liberty. And when you look at the end game, when you look at the fascist progressive left, you look at Europe right now, where German police are storming into people's homes for memes, right? Where the United Kingdom is banging on people's doors for comments that people might have misinterpreted on Facebook, where American journalists are saying horrifying things like, oh yeah, free speech contributed to or led to the Holocaust. It's all insane. And when you hear it from these super rich Hollywood types about how we need to care more and have more empathy, shut up, how much you care about us? How much you care about the life of the everyday working American? Because I'll tell you what, Jane Fonda didn't give a damn. She didn't give a damn now. She didn't give a damn when she was taking the sides of the communists in Vietnam. And I was against the Vietnam War. I was a baby, but I'm against war generally. But it's one thing to be against a war. It's another thing completely to go support the enemy of this country and the people that are slaughtering people over there. Hanoi, Jane, I think it's absurd. I don't want to hear it.
As a black man, I am not truly profoundly interested in what the hell is going on in Germany about free speech.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about what's taking place in Europe, where white folks are fighting white folks
coming here
in Europe. And now America is so divided by the Trump administration, and even before his administration, America was still divided. We as black people have to ask ourselves the question, why should we truly be concerned about a fight that has nothing to do with us? If conservative white people are ready to go to war with liberal white people, and liberal white people are ready to go to war with conservative white people, why should we as black people get involved in that fight at all? Let them both fight each other and slay each other. Then we as black people step in, pick up the pieces, and go to work to make a better nation in God's name. Because whenever black people fight each other, the liberal white man nor the conservative white man gets in the middle to try to stop that fight. So they don't mind us slaying each other. They don't mind us committing acts of heinous behavior toward each other. So why should we be captured and caught up in some very wealthy white woman, Miss Fonda, and how she feels from a liberal perspective? Minister Malcolm X warned us about liberal white people. And let me tell you the difference. She talked about that big tent. She spoke about the tent. We all need to stay inside the tent. Well, black people were never allowed to come on the inside of that tent. And if we did go on the inside, we were the butlers, caretakers, and cooks inside that tent. Liberal white people like this, Miss Fonda, she believes in her mind that when we're outside the tent that we helped erect, when we're outside the tent parking cars or cutting the grass or serving someone, then she would bring us out her leftovers and say, I didn't eat all of this, you can have these leftovers. I didn't finish this wine, y'all can have this wine. And in her mind, she would convince herself she's doing a beautiful human thing. We as black people should not be concerned about the tent of white America right now. That tent is on fire, and they have set that tent on fire, and Minister Malcolm X said it best. When the slave master's house catch a fire, don't go say, Master, our house on fire. Don't say, Master, what should we do? A slave should use common sense and intelligence and pray for a strong wind. So I don't think that we should go inside that tent with Miss Fonda or any other quote-unquote woke white folks. Let them fight each other. It is time that we as black people erect our own tent, furnish that tent, build that tent, and encompass everything around it for true black economic growth and development and black true self-development. So we should not look for benevolent white folks like Miss Fonda to talk about how we all need to come inside that tent and don't push nobody out. They have never truly invited us inside that tent. And when we talk about the economic tent of America, here we were never even invited to stand outside at the front door of the economic tent of this nation.
I love how you talk about this country. First of all, thank you for admitting that you look at everything through the lens of race. And at least you're coming to terms with your racism.
That's what she did.
I appreciate it. Actually, she didn't mention race.
She really spoke about it.
She didn't mention race at all.
She spoke about walking across that bridge. That bridge is the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Okay.
During the civil rights movement where black people could not vote, and they sick dogs and sick water hoses and beat us with nightsticks.
Apparently,
she talked about the civil rights movement. That was us.
Researched the civil rights movement and the overwhelming presence
the two or three white folks that marched with us?
The 2 or 3 white people.
The 2 or 3 white folks that marched with us?
That's the thing.
So you mean tell me hundreds and thousands of black people can be beat and beat across the head and blooded and dogs sicked on them, but we're supposed to salivate at the mouth for 2 or 3 white folks who was with us in the crowd, like a white life is more valuable than the black lives who are out there protesting? I don't think so.
The only person that said that was you.
I don't think so.
When you try to minimize the participation of white Americans in the civil rights movement, it's just you lying.
It was extremely minimal.
It's just you
Your
lying
participation
again.
as white people helping black people during the civil rights movement was very minimal. You all did not help us on a global galactic level. Hell, the white men were all over the world doing the civil rights movement in America, conquering and colonizing other black countries in Africa and robbing them of their resources. The same way Donald Trump just told Ukraine, we want our money back. We want you to pay us back what we've given you.
I know
and what did he ask
your
for?
favorite mechanism.
What did he ask for?
Your favorite
he
mechanism
told Ukraine, we want your natural resources.
Is to change
That's the white man's way, your natural resources.
When you're uncomfortable and you realize that you can't have a consequence.
Unadulterated
you're
facts.
changing the
I'm
subject.
hitting you across your head with some
about Jane
truth.
Fonda, but we switched it to Quanell only looks at things through the lens of race. And if Quanell's
black people cannot trust liberal white people like Jane Fonda.
With your
we can't trust her.
racist tirade
we can't trust
long
her.
enough. Please
she has
show
never
me the same courtesy
and those like them
of letting
change
me
the
finish
reality
a
of black
sentence.
life in America.
Are you done? Okay. So you said you only look at it through how does this impact black people, right? And then you went on your soliloquy on how white people are responsible for all the awful things and white people didn't do enough in the civil rights movement, apparently because you never read an actual book on the civil rights movement.
I read them lies.
Because you're a liar.
I read them lies.
The only person lying today.
White people
Look, Quanell's interrupting me again.
During the civil rights movement. That was black struggling, black death, black lynching, black murder. White people lost a few.
Okay,
we lost tens of thousands.
How many people, and I'm not, lynching is horrible, right? A horrible part of American history. But they estimate the total number of people lynched, black people lynched, somewhere between 3,400 and 6,500 people, right? Through the entire period of lynching in America.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
You should read a book called Without Sanctuary.
Again, I was in the middle of a sentence.
Called Without Sanctuary, and then find out black people, how many black folks was lynched. Read from all authors, all eyewitnesses of how many were lynched. White people lynched whole towns.
Okay, when you're done.
Not just a few individuals.
When you're done.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Rosewood, Florida. We can talk about it.
How many black people were violently murdered by other black people last year? You have any idea of the number?
Are you serious?
No, I'm asking you.
When you look at per capita,
I'm asking
when
you a question.
When you look at per capita,
I'm asking you a
white
question.
folk kill white folk majority. No. Black people per capita kill black people.
No, that's not necessarily true.
And so when you want to go there, let's put it in factual context.
If you want to talk about actual race,
because the
crime,
number one mass murderer and mass killer in America and serial killers in America are white people.
Actually, also not true.
That's a fact.
Since 2000, see, they've been charting serial killers for about 60 years, and it was about 58% white and 35% black. Black men horribly overrepresented in that category.
In serial killers.
But since 2000, since the year 2000, 60% of serial killers, under their definition, killing two separate people in two separate incidents, have been African American men. And it doesn't in any way impugn all black men by any means. That'd be horrible. But it is an overrepresentation.
The number one serial killers, serial kidnappers, serial rapists, and murderers, and burying folks in the backyard and putting them in pots and cooking them on the stove and eating them have been white men.
That's absolutely
not
true.
White men have been the number one serial killers in American history,
but my
still
point
to this day. You gave us Ted Bundy. White folks gave us Charles Manson. They gave us Jeffrey Dahmer. They gave us Gracie.
You lie and you interrupt.
Let's be honest
to prevent me from talking.
They gave us the son of Sam. Let's tell the truth.
But the truth is that of the subgroup of black men and much smaller subgroup of white men and any subgroup of any immutable characteristic demographic that kills people, it is those individuals responsible. It is not all the rest of the black men, all the rest of the white men, all the rest of the
Charles,
people.
you
but
can't
what
mask
you do,
your
I'm
racism.
speaking.
You can't mask your racism. Ain't nobody black buying them lying white statistics.
At the end of the day,
we ain't buying them lying white numbers no more. We know what the facts are. You lying white numbers ain't selling no more.
What Quanell does, he knows the facts, but he doesn't. He interrupts me because he doesn't want to hear it. The truth is, no, I'm talking statistics and numbers, and the truth is you only should blame individuals for individual behavior. What Quanell does is blame all white people for every bad thing that any white person has ever done, and he looks at everything. The only truth is that you're a disgusting racist.
For a black man to speak the truth to you without fear, without hiding, without scratching where I don't itch. I'm going to tell you straight up the
problems of all American people, like you expect
when
white
America
people to do,
concerns
and Asian people
with the problems of black people, for real, seriously,
we
can talk about that. But let me tell you something. We as black folks have concern about white life in this country.
And whine to America how you can't get ahead ahead. The thing is, you
It
got
ain't
ahead.
about Cornell.
You got
It's
ahead
about the masses
by
of black
lying
people.
to black
It's about the
people
masses of
about
black
their
people.
ability to win.
And let me tell you
And
something.
You are just as
the
bad
game
as
has
Jane
been rigged.
Fonda.
The game has been rigged against black people.
Oh,
remember that.
That's what it is.
But it wasn't rigged for you.
Cornell, you and Jane
It wasn't
Fonda are
rigged
two
for you.
peas in a pod. I can't believe you don't love her.
We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. I mean, this is very simple.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, we just watched a video of Sister Jasmine Crockett, very strong black congresswoman who is known to speak her mind, who is known to not bite her tongue at all. And she speaks truth to power in many cases that most black congresswomen have never had in the past. And so I applaud the sister for being outspoken and being strong for her people. And I know where she's coming from. She's talking about those statistics that were put out by the FBI several years ago that said the most dangerous extremists or terrorists in America was white supremacist males who were part of militia groups. When you look at mass murderers in this country, in particular school shootings, etc., where mass people are targeted, when you look at the mass targeting in movie theaters, at malls, when you look at the mass targeting at churches, at soft target places, where most of these mass target shootings takes place, it is white males predominantly who are doing these shootings. But she spoke about a white supremacist in the White House. I would just wish that Sister Jasmine and other black elected officials like her would also speak about the hidden secret white supremacists who are also a part of the Democratic Party. For us to pretend that all the white supremacists, the Hitler lovers, are in the Republican Party and ignore some of those Democrats who's just as racist is wrong. The founder of the Louisiana Ku Klux Klan, Senator Byrd, who passed years ago, at his funeral, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden spoke about this man like he was the second coming of Jesus. And they're Democrats. But yet we don't talk about them and their racism and white supremacy. When you look at Biden's history and the comments that have came out of his mouth as a senator and an elected official over the years, as recently when he was running for this last election, Democrat black people who are elected officials don't call him out on his racism. I just want our sister to be consistent in calling out the racism in both parties, not just one.
Well, I noticed how you quickly moved away from the actual topic at hand, which by saying, oh, she's honest and she speaks truth to power, when she just led, Congresswoman Crockett just did what many politicians on both the left and the right do. She just led with an abject lie. And if you keep telling a lie over and over and over again like you do, maybe there are gullible, naive people that will believe it. When you talk about the FBI putting out data, they put out that data every year. In fact, they just had to correct their data because they were playing with the numbers during the Biden administration. And it got so bad that in September of 2024, they had to correct the data. The truth is that if you're a racist mindset like you, right, where you have to look at everything through the lens of race and say, all white people are a they, and they are all to blame, even the people that weren't alive or weren't involved or anything, for any bad thing that any white person does. But if a white person does that about black people, it is racism. I would say it's both racism, right? I think if you are a white person and you say, oh, this group of black men did this bad thing, so I'm going to treat this group of black men poorly accordingly, that's racism. But it's also analogous to what you do. But the numbers don't hold up. In fact, in America, oddly, and I don't even want to talk about per capita, but if you talk about per capita, white men commit less murder per capita than African American women, which is an astounding statistic because women aren't murderers, right? But when you look at murder generally, right, the majority of murders in this country are committed by African American male violent criminals. Who suffers the most from that? other African Americans. And when you promulgate the lies that you tell, you don't see enough police energy where it needs to go when you pretend the truth isn't the truth, right? And when you look at robbery, right, it's even worse, the numbers. If you look at aggravated kidnapping, well, you look at all the crimes, but also your favorite lie is, oh, the serial killers, the mass shooters. No, it still doesn't, your math doesn't hold up. So I would tell everybody to please go to the FBI data and actually look at it and look at violent crime. But we also have all of our lived experiences. We have the internet. We have the incredible deluge of crime videos all over every internet platform that the media, like the media we're on and the legacy media all across the place, absolutely ignore, because in the last 10 years the media have adopted this, well, we don't want to promote false narratives. We don't want to promote racism, so we're going to ignore reality. And again, who suffers the worst from your lies, from the media's lies, from Jasmine Crockett's lies? It is African American, law-abiding, rule-following citizens who are plagued by crime, who are victims of crime. Now, there are other people that suffer too, people of all races, and crime has gotten out of control. And of course, we have this new thing. If we make crime difficult to report, if we don't show up and respond and make it seem futile, right, we can actually make crime look like it's getting better when it's actually getting worse. And our government has stolen that idea from, of all places, the second season of The Wire, right? So when you sit there and lie, when Jasmine Crockett sits there and lies, and you lie about crime, that's all you're doing.
The biggest lie, Charles,
you need to shine the
that
spotlight
white people don't want to tell,
criminals
that the FBI statistics come from an institution that has hated black existence since its inception.
Oh, of course.
So we as black people should never trust whatever the FBI says, because they work night and day to destroy black organizations and destroy black people and black leaders.
So
we don't trust
lives in a white neighborhood
to tell us
black
who we
people
are.
in Detroit they should just
Let
live with
us
crime.
tell statistics about somebody else.
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.